Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a review on the new Colourpop Mint to Be palette. I will be showing you swatches, demoing this eye look, giving you my thoughts on the palette. This palette does cost $12. I purchased it from the Colourpop website. It is one of these 9-pan palettes in this plastic packaging. They've been doing so many of these monochromatic palettes, and I didn't have any of them actually. I just bought this one and the Lilac You A Lot palette. Therefore, I thought since this one was newer, I would give you my thoughts, review, show you this eye look, and let's just get into the video. All right, here's the packaging. So it says Mint to Be. It's plastic, and inside you do get a mirror. I haven't taken this off yet, and 9 shades. This palette you get 4 metallic shades and the rest are mattes. This one looks like it has some shimmers in it, but it's essentially a matte to me. What I like about this color story is that you can have minty blues and minty greens, and they did do both of that, which I think is really, really nice. I had really wanted the other green palette, the Just My Luck palette, but I didn't end up getting that. And now I'm glad, actually, I'm happy that I waited and got this one because I much prefer these colors over that palette, at least for my taste, because I really like, you know, minty green colors. I will do the eye look at the end, but first let me give you these swatches. All right, the first row, this matte color here, that is called Get Fresh. Then we have this green metallic. This has a lot of glitters in it. It's not really showing up, but that is the lid shade I have on today. That is called Mint Tea. And the last one is Play It Cool, which is kind of a silver with a little bit of green in it. And that one has some glitters as well. One thing though that I like about this palette is that there aren't any pressed glitters. There's eyeshadows with glitters in them, but they're not pressed glitters, which I like because I'm really not into the whole pressed glitters thing, but I am happy to have glitter inside an eyeshadow. I think that adds a lot of dimension. All right, let's swatch the second row. All right, first we have Seltzer, and that one in the pan, again, that looks like it has shimmers in it, but it's really a matte. This metallic is gorgeous, one of my favorites. That's Mojito Mommy, one of my favorites in the palette. The last one is Dementh, so this is a green. Really, really pretty colors. I will say though, I know a lot of people have some qualms with the Colourpop palettes because some of the eyeshadows you cannot use around the eye area. And on the back of here, it does say that the color Mojito Mommy is not intended for use in the immediate eye area. I am wearing that color as an inner corner highlight today, and I've purchased a few palettes lately that have statements like that, and I've still used them around the eye area. I haven't had issues with it, but FYI, this middle shade here does have that warning. All right, last row of swatches, kind of over here. This matte teal, gorgeous, one of my favorites. That's Ice Cold. This metallic here is called Freshman. That's really beautiful. That one has some kind of green metallic in it. And then the last color is called Chill Factor. That is a matte, kind of a tealish green. And that one you'll see in the eye look. I used it in the outer corner, and on the eye, it really doesn't look that dark. And I'll kind of talk about some of the cons of the palette, but yeah, that color Chill Factor on the eyes, it really did not show up anywhere near this dark or even as dark as this swatch. All right, so let me give you some thoughts here. I really like the eyeshadow formula. I think this is the usual Colourpop formula. I have quite a few Colourpop eyeshadows in single form and in palettes, and Colourpop, it's one of my favorite formulas. No complaints there. The mattes are powdery, but they're very easy to blend, and the metallic formula, gorgeous. Some of these, the top two, these have some more glitters in them where these are more metallic, but again, this is the only one that says not intended for immediate eye use area. Overall, I think the formula is great. You'll see in the demo, I did get a lot of fallout, but that's really common for me, especially with Colourpop eyeshadows. I tend to get a lot of fallout, but I don't mind because I do my eye makeup first and then I just clean it up. But I love how the eye look turned out. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think this is a really nice palette. I like that there are 4 metallics and the rest are mattes. I like palettes to have about a 50-50. I know sometimes some people want more metallics, some want more mattes. For me, this is the perfect ratio. I like how some of the colors lean more blue and some of them lean more green. I think, again, if you're gonna do a mint palette, that's the way to do it because you know, mint blue and green are kind of, you know, the main two versions of that. There is one shade again that says not intended for the immediate area of the eye. But actually for some of these Colourpop palettes, that's pretty good that there's only one, because some of the other palettes, it's like half the shadows will say that. So again, at your own discretion, but I do have that shade on my eye today and it seems fine, but you never know. So honestly, my only complaint is the lack of depth. I put both of these in the outer corner and I love it. It looks great, but I feel like this chill factor shade, if that had just been a little bit darker, you could have added more depth with that. But again, I always do my makeup for the most part with multiple palettes. Therefore, I could easily just reach into another palette and add something darker on the outer corner. That doesn't really bother me, but I know that a lot of people do want a more cohesive all-in-one palette, you know, and I just think as far as depth, you're not really getting that in this palette. See in the demo that I used this one here, Mint Tea, all over my lid, and there was tons of glitter fallout, but I wiped it away and it's fine. You know, it hasn't fallen out since then. And I just used my finger. I was feeling kind of lazy. You would likely get a better result with a wet brush or a glitter glue. That would probably be better for these two shades, but these two are more metallic and less on the glittery side. So yeah, I think, you know, the colors here are beautiful. You know, they swatch really well, but I mean, they work well on the eyes, which is what actually matters. I think it's a really good color story. And I think as far as Mint, they did it really well, other than, you know, the kind of lack of depth. This on the eye just didn't show up this dark, but if you have other palettes, it's really not that big of a deal, you know, in my opinion. Overall, I really like this. I mean, if you don't wear these type of colors, there's no point in getting an entire palette in this minty color story. You'd probably be better off just buying one or two, you know, minty, either blue or green single eyeshadows. I actually looked through my collection and I don't have a lot of minty colors. I was surprised. There is a shade in the Juvia's Place Seduce palette and then one or two others. I have a matte minty shade kind of in my Carity 21 matte palette, but not exactly. It leans more blue. Therefore, yeah, for me, this was actually a really good addition because I didn't have a ton of these shades. Overall, I think it's a really good palette. There are a few cons, you know, depending what you're looking for, but the price is right. You know, I can't complain about that. And yeah, that is it. So let's just roll into this eyeshadow demo. The eye look. I am very excited. And I'm gonna start with this lightest matte shade there in the crease. This color is called Get Fresh. And this is a very minty, more of a blue. And it's a lot more pigmented than it looks in the pan. When I first saw it in the pan, I thought, wow, this is gonna barely show up, but actually it really, really does. Then I'm gonna go with this blue here. This is Seltzer, and this looks like it has shimmer in it, but it really doesn't show up. It's more of a matte satin, I think. I'm just kind of putting this in the outer corner. Colors, using this palette, I've realized they're just a lot brighter than they look in the pan, which is a good thing because when you just look at the colors in the pan, honestly, it looks a little dull and muted, but it's really not. Then this more of a teal, ice cold. I'm gonna put that in the outer corner. Very powdery though, but I've just noticed that that's just true of all Colourpop eyeshadows, and I personally don't really mind. I always do my eye makeup first, so that's totally fine. I'm just gonna use a little bit of Chill Factor. That's the darkest color in the outer corner. I will say this color isn't quite as dark as it looks in the pan, therefore you can't get that much depth with this palette. That's what I'm realizing. It is quite like monochromatic, which is why I really held back from buying a lot of these Colourpop palettes. I'm just gonna do a little blending because I was worried that they were too much of one-trick ponies, because that's kind of how I feel about the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves palette I have. It's beautiful and it's monochromatic, but you know, the variation is pretty minimal. Although here you have shimmers, metallics, and all that, which obviously you don't have with the Dose of Colors. For the lid, I am just gonna use my finger and go with this color here, Mint Tea. So far, the rest of the colors that I used are pulling very blue, but this one is more green, so I like that contrast. And this one definitely has glitters in it, like most of these shimmers, but like I said, I'm fine with eyeshadow with glitter in it. I just don't like pressed glitters. That's not for me. That shade is so beautiful. I mean, I have tons of fallout. I don't know if you can tell, but that's fine. I don't mind. I really wanted the Just My Luck palette when it came out. I'm really glad I waited and got this one because this is more my colors than the ones in the Just My Luck. This color is so pretty. I took a little bit of seltzer and I'm just gonna kind of blend all this out. Those glitters are definitely falling, but I had a feeling that would happen. Do a brow bone highlight from my Milani palette. Alrighty, that is the eye look. I'm gonna clean up all this fallout. I'm just gonna do the rest of my makeup. I will list everything I used in the description box and I will be back. Alrighty, that is it for this review, swatches, and demo video of the Mint to Be palette. I gotta say, I really like it and I do feel that it added something more unique to my collection. I'm really glad that I waited to get any of these 9-pan palettes. I feel like a lot of them, I have a lot of those colors where this one is more unique, but now that I have this one, I may end up getting more. Let us know what you think. Did you get this palette? Do you have the other 9-pan monochromatic palettes from Colourpop? And thank you so much for watching.